Good morning and welcome. So glad to see you all here and to be together with you this morning. My name's Jeannie Rudvig. I'll be coordinating the service this morning. I'm a member of All Souls. Just glad to see you all, whether you're here for the first time or a longtime member or just checking us out. You're very welcome, regardless of what you believe, who you love, what you wear, who you voted for, what you're doing later. We're just glad to be together in our own search for the truth as individuals and as a community. In your bulletin, there's a separate sheet that lists the announcements for the week. Just bring your attention to those and ask if anyone else has any other announcements they'd like to share or if not, we'll just go forward with our readings and chalice lighting. Our reading is number 448, and if we could ask Mark to come and light the chalice for us. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. We'll have a prelude first. Thank you. Just beautiful. Thank you. Our Words to Light the Chalice is number 448. I'm glad to read it. You can read along if you feel like it. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Let's sing a song together this morning. Please stand if you're comfortable doing so. It's number 22, Dear Weaver of Our Lives' Design. Our first reading this morning is number 531. The Oversoul, Ralph Waldo Emerson. I can read the regular print if you'd like to respond with the italicized print. Let us learn the revelation of all nature and thought, that the highest dwells within us, that sources of nature are in our minds.
There is no screen or ceiling between our heads and the infinite heavens, so there is no bar or wall in the soul where we, in effect, cease, and not the cause begins.
I am constrained every moment to acknowledge a higher origin for events than the will I call mine. Every moment when the individual feels invaded by it is memorable.
It comes to the lowly and simple. It comes to whosoever will put off what is foreign and proud. It comes as insight. It comes as serenity and grandeur.
The soul's health consists in the fullness of its reception.
Forever and ever, the influx of this better and more universal self is new and unsearchable.
Within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty, to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal one.
When it breaks through our intellect, it is genius. When it breaks through our will, it is virtue. When it flows through our affections, it is love.
A story for the children this morning. If anyone would come up and sit with me, that would be great. Thank you. I got to grab the book. Glad to see you this morning. Hello. Hi there. Hi. Oh, you're so pretty. Ah.
We can do her hair, but we have the dress.
Looks very beautiful. Well, thank you. Today in church, we're going to talk about questions. So I know I always ask a lot of questions, and I bet you guys do too, because it's so exciting to learn about the world and to see how things work and to find new things we didn't used to know. And so I know you probably do, and I hope you'll always ask a lot of questions. And this morning, I got some books from the library about questions. And I thought maybe I could ask you a few of them. We could answer them all together, because some of this stuff nobody really knows, but they might be fun to ask anyway, okay? This is called Totally Random Questions by Melina Gerosa Bellows. So we'll ask a couple of these and see what you think. And it's multiple choice. Where did gold come from? Did it come from the ocean, from outer space, or did it come from underneath the earth? That's a good guess. Let's see what it says. We get gold by mining it from the ground. So from the earth is true. But scientists believe that gold was first created in the stars and came to earth when meteorites hit the planet 200 million years ago. Okay, here's a gross one. A really good gross one for you. And got a good picture too. How long can a cockroach live without its head? You think it's about 7 minutes, 7 hours, or a whole week? That's what I would guess too. Well, let's see. Oh my gosh, about 1 week. Cockroaches, yeah, that's right. Cockroaches can be found almost anywhere, including in people's homes. Ick! They are born survivors that can even live for a week without their heads because they won't bleed to death. Unlike a human whose blood flows through arteries and veins, a cockroach's blood just sloshes around in its tissues. So a headless cockroach will just clot at the neck. Okay. Here's one that's really tricky too. Do you guys know what that is? Yeah, the beautiful full moon. Well, how long would it take to drive from Earth to the moon? It might take 6 months, 6 years, or 60 years. That's what I would think too. 60.
Oh, okay.
I think, let's see. Yes. Well, the answer is you could drive to the moon in 6 months. Because the moon is about 238,855 miles away. And if you drive at 60 miles an hour, the journey would take about 6 months. Yeah, you got to have that in coffee.
No,
Coffee.
There's no rest stops.
Well, here's one I like too. True or false? Pigeons, you've seen those birds before, pigeons? Oh, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. Pigeons can do math. Let's see. True. Common pigeons are very clever animals. With training, not only are they intelligent enough to identify each letter of the alphabet, they can even count and do math. Would you imagine? I would never imagine. All right, the last one from this book. this is true for all of us. Oh, here's some nice curly hair. How many hairs does everyone lose each day? Do we lose about 20 or 50 to 100 or about 1,000? Each day, because we all see our hair sometimes, right, in different places. Yeah, let's see. Well, we all lose about 1,000 hairs a day. Wow. Okay, now just some guesses, and here's some other questions that I like, a book I like called The Curious Guide to Things That Aren't. And this is by John Fix and James Fix, so they might be related. And it's about things you can't always touch, see, or hear, but they're still out there in the world. And he's done it by alphabet, and see if you can guess what some of these things are. Now, an example of something you couldn't really touch or hear or look at might be love. It exists in the world, but you don't necessarily see it. Or air is a great example. Just a wonderful. And these all tell you what letter they start with. So this starts with the letter E. It sounds exactly like someone's voice, except there's no one there. Well, sometimes you can hear it from the other side of a lake, and sometimes you can hear it in a place that's hilly, and sometimes you hear it when you yell down a well. Yes. If you say hello, it says hello, and if you ask who's there, it says who's there. It's not a person hiding, and you can't find it even if you look. It's something you can't see, but you can always hear it, and when you do, it's always saying what you see. Can you say louder? Because I think you were right. Echo. Yeah, an echo. All right, I'll just do one more here. Let me find a good one here. Oh, that's too easy. You guys will get that right away. All right. Here's a tricky one. Maybe. It starts with the letter V. Did you hear something? You always have this with you, but you are not always allowed to use it. Most people use it a lot every day. It can be very high, or it can be very low, or somewhere in between. Adults sometimes ask you to lower it. Babies have one, and so do older people.
Voice.
It allows you to sing, tell jokes, and talk. And say it loud.
Voice.
Yeah, it's your voice. Well, thank you. I hope that you will always ask a lot of questions, and the library is a good place to get good books full of questions if you want to look at any more. And thank you so much. Appreciate it. Good guessing. Oh, it's time to share our joy and concerns. We like to take a stone from the bowl, hold it in our hands and warm it for a moment, and then maybe share a joy or concern from your own life, putting the water into the stone and releasing. So I'll start and pick one and then invite anyone else who'd like to share to come forward. This is just a stone of concern for our country, our sad, scared, divided, but resilient country. This is the microphone if you'd like to share one.
I have a thought and prayer for Alan Dunkerson, who lives in Cedar Rapids, not doing too well. He's in the hospital, and he is a friend of mine's brother-in-law. And my other friend of mine, my friend of mine, the same friend of mine, also has a nephew who's not doing so well either. He's in need of a kidney transplant. So thoughts and prayers for him. And I also have thoughts and prayers for our country as well. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Joy. I am concerned about my husband because he's still coughing, and but I have joy also for him because he's coughing less. So when he called the doctor and said, "Why am I still coughing?" the doctor said, "Call me in a week if you're still coughing." So he'll be calling the doctor tomorrow.
Hi, I'm JC. About a week ago, the person who was the founder of the company that I work for recently resigned, and it was kind of a contentious resignation. So anyways, he's worked for the company for a long time, but he no longer owns it. And I have a stone of concern for him. I hope that he is able to find something valuable to do with this time.
This is for something special going on here. I wonder if anybody has noticed the sound in the church lately. If you haven't heard, that's right, Eric. If you haven't heard the grinding for a while, that is because we had pump number 4 replaced. And it is so nice to come in and not hear that.
Good morning. I'm Liz, and my joy is that I'm back after vacation, but more importantly, that my dad is here with us. So, yay!
Yeah, hi, my name is Mike, and a joy and a concern. The joy is kind of different. Her story about the pigeon. It reminded me of if you ever have a chance on YouTube, you can look up, a guy did a whole year of research on a conspiracy that he made up about pigeons not being real. And it's really it's a surprise what results he finds from this. If you get a chance, you look up, I can't remember exactly what you look up, but pigeons are not real, and it's on YouTube. It's pretty funny. My concern is the city council passed a resolution to allow a data center in Sioux Falls. And the joy part of it, though, is that someone has already started a petition process, and that petition has to have 10,000 signatures in 2 weeks. And I'll have one in the back after we're done if you want to sign. And you're not committing either way. You're just committing to put it on the ballot. And it does follow our 5th principle, the right of conscience to use the democratic process within our congregation and society at large. Thanks.
I'm Ann Coonsey, and I came to Sioux Falls when, I came to Sioux Falls when, about 5 years ago, I think. I had never heard of the assisted living. I didn't know what in the world assisted living was. But I needed a place to live, and my family didn't think I could handle an apartment, so they went out and hunted. And my son was found assisted living, and he fixed up a tour for me, and so we went together to there. And the one I'm in is called Edgewood, and it's on 5th Street, and it's a delightful place. And it was brand new to me. I had never heard of it, and I didn't know how it worked or anything. But I want to give a good word, a shout out for that place. It's called Edgewood Assisted Living. And for people of all ages, from elderly up, it's home. And it's a very good home. And I hope you'll come there someday. We have some people that are at interesting ages. One is over 100. And there are, most of us are well over 70. And a whole bunch of us are 89, which is what I am. And so if you have people that are in need of care, I highly recommend that you check it out. So this is a stone of joy for having a nice place to live.
Good morning. My name is Dick, and as previously noted, I'm back amongst you. I've been hiding for a couple of weeks in the hospital, but it was all because of symptoms of Parkinson's, and I'm home now, and things are good. We had little bumps in the road, but it's great to be back with real people.
And he just had his 94th birthday.
Wow. Happy birthday.
Good morning. My name is Sue Ann Lang. I have two stones, one of joy and one of deep, deep, deep concern. The joy is we are going to be helping Spirit of Peace serve the banquet in a couple weeks, and we already have people who have said they're going to help prep our food and also help serve. Now, here's the word, folks. If you don't call me or touch base with me, I'll be calling you. But thank you for those who have signed up ahead of time. My joy of concern, and it's a deep, deep grief, is the murder, and I'm sorry, that's my word, of Renee Nicole Good. She was murdered. I was not alive during World War II, but I know what brown shirts are. And ICE, expletive deleted, are brown shirts. They have become a federal army under the auspices of people who seem not to have any morals, and I am gravely concerned. I would invite you to join the 1 hour vigil, whatever, today from 12 to 1 on the Olive Garden side of 41st Street, and it will be for an hour. You don't need to bring anything but yourself, but it's a show of solidarity that even though Renee was from Minnesota, it could happen here. And it happened in Portland, although they managed to survive. So grave concerns there.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing concerns about the health and welfare of people that we love and know. about our threats to democracy, about our world. Thank you for sharing your joys about recovery and the ability to still petition and have a voice sometimes in government. And we'll add one last stone for all the joys and concerns that were left unspoken but are nonetheless in our hearts. We'll just take a minute of silent reflection. Thank you. Our second reading this morning is number 650, called Cherish Your Doubts. This is Robert T. Weston. We could read this together too, if you will, please. Cherish your doubts, for doubt is the attendant of truth.
Doubt is the key to the door of knowledge. It is the servant of discovery.
A belief which may not be questioned binds us to error, for there is completeness and imperfection in every belief.
Doubt is the touchstone of truth. It is an acid which eats away the false.
Let no one fear for the truth, that doubt may consume it, for doubt is a testing of belief.
The truth stands boldly and unafraid. It is not shaken by the testing.
For truth, if it be truth, arises from each testing stronger, more secure.
Those that silence doubt are filled with fear. Their houses are built on shifting sands.
But those who fear not doubt and know its use are founded on rock.
They shall walk in the light of growing knowledge. The work of their hands shall endure.
Therefore, let us not fear doubt, but let us rejoice in its help.
It is to the wise as a staff to the blind. Doubt is the attendant of truth.
And our second song this morning is number 345. This morning, we're fortunate to welcome and receive a message from member and minister Dan Rieke. He's going to share with us about questioning wisdom.
First of all, thank you, Janine. I know we're all going to take something today because I didn't know you could cut the head off a cockroach and it would live for a week. I'm sure that I get the body too. Yeah, that was fun. A lot of those things are fun. It's great to be in a congregation where we can share our gifts and knowledge and also our searching. To me, this is what I want to talk about today is this whole business of questioning wisdom. And I want to talk about it in two different directions. First of all, I think that we all in some ways have questioned some of the ideas we were raised with. Otherwise, we wouldn't probably be here if we didn't do some questioning. So I think I want to spend a good chunk of time on how it's important to question the wisdom of culture, of science, of beliefs, of people, so that we can expand horizons. And the other way, I want to talk about the whole business of living as questioning wisdom. You don't get away from it. You live with it. You're always questioning. You're always reflecting. You're always thinking. It is the way of wisdom, is to continually ask questions. Is this right? Should this have done? Should this be done? And so anyway, I want to visit it from two different directions. To introduce this time together, I'm reading a book called The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. And I just want to read a little portion of it. This happens to be for January the 8th. It says, feeding your heart. This is now going to be an Edoma proverb from Nigeria. No matter how dark, the hand always knows the way to the mouth. Even when we can't see, we know how to feed ourselves. Even when the way isn't clear, the heart still pumps. Even when afraid, the air of everything enters and leaves the lungs. Even when clouds grow thick, the sun still pours its light earthward. This African proverb reminds us that things are never quite as bad as they seem inside the problem. We have inner reflexes that keep us alive, deep impulses of being, and aliveness that work beneath the hardships we struggle with. We must remember the hand cannot eliminate the darkness, only find its way to the mouth. Likewise, our belief in life cannot eliminate our suffering, only find its way to feed our heart. Welcome to All Souls. I got thinking that this kind of message today, questioning wisdom, would be a great way to talk about what it means to belong to All Souls Church. If you'll turn over your bulletin, I'd like you to look at the principles. And I'd like you to think about questioning wisdoms in the terms of how these statements of who we are have come to be. So I'd like, if we can do this, please have this side of the congregation read the first one, and then on the other side, let's read the second one, and let's just go through all 7. But when we get to 7, I'd like us all to read them together. All right? So on the left side, let's begin. I'd like you to look at me and tell me what you think is a better depiction of wisdom. Which do you think is a better way to live life with wisdom? Okay. A lot of us have received this. Shoulds, shame, guilt, dualistic thinking. It's my way or the highway. We see this present still in our world, not just in the religious world, but in the political world. In our communities, we see this. Might makes right. You want to be powerful? This is how you do it. We also see this being proclaimed to us. The UU Church was born with struggle. It was with people who had been given this, and they said, I don't think I want to look at it quite that way. I want you to open your hymnal, if you would, please, to hymn number 18. The name of the song is what? What Wondrous Love. I learned this song. I sang this song with different words. Christ laid aside his crown for my soul. He suffered on the cross. What wondrous love is this, that Jesus died for me. His blood is necessary for me to have the forgiveness of my sin. He is the sacrificial Lamb of God. Have you ever heard that kind of talk? Once or twice, yeah. Well, I was raised with it every day. It was what was given to me every Sunday. It was in my songs that I sang. Now I want you to look at the words that have been reworked by a lady named Connie Campbell Hart. And boy, it's so good that she put her heart to work. It isn't spelled the same way, but there's a lot of heart here. What does she say? Read the first verse with me. What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul? Well, she's going to tell you. Verse 2, read that one. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath the sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered around, O my soul, O my soul. Friends to me gathered round, O my soul. And go to the conclusion, verse 3, to love and to all friends I will sing. Yes, to love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend. With thanks unto the end I will sing. I will sing. With thanks unto the end I will sing. Wow. Wisdom, what is it? If you had to boil it down to a 4-letter word, what would it be? Oh, the answer's right there in the song. What wondrous. Yeah, but how do you define love? How do you define love? For me, it was something that was prescribed. It was something that was a plan even that God had, because I was born in sin. And I couldn't know love. I couldn't share love. I couldn't be open to any other kind of love than it had to be fit into God's plan. I was sinful from birth. I had to be baptized as a baby. Lest I die, I might not go to heaven. I had to be washed in the waters of baptism and be filled with a new spirit as soon as I could possibly be, because I was that sinful. You believe that? Oh, some people say, no, that's not good enough. You have to commit your life to Jesus. You have to make him your Lord and Savior. I should do it this way, shouldn't I? Definitely not this way. Because if you don't, God's going to maybe throw you into hell eternally. How many of us believe that? I hope not. That was what I was taught. And I was taught it in a loving way. This is love. This is how you understand love. This is how you determine what love is. God has a plan, but God is also a fearful God, a judgmental God who can cast you into hell because you've rejected his love. his love. Whew. Well, I want to share some stories today about humility. Humility. What does it mean to live one's life with humility? Jesus himself gives us a clue. John chapter 9, verse 41. I think about this on occasion because Jesus is speaking with the smart guys of his day, those who have all the laws and rules, the Pharisees, the scribes, those who knew what was right and wrong. And here's this upstart young man coming and speaking things that irritated them. And then Jesus says to them, if you were blind, you would have no sin. But now you say, we see. Therefore, your sin remains. Think about that. What do we see when we think we see? Someone comes to you, they're dressed a certain way, they're talking a certain way, they have a certain culture, they have a certain something, and all of a sudden all the ideas come to mind. You know who they are. You're slotting them. They're this, they're that, they're this, they're that, they're this or that. If you say you see and don't realize you're first of all blind, you've missed love. You've missed love. You're judging, you're categorizing, you're bracketing. You're, oh yeah, I got you under control. I'm safe now. I know, oh, you're that kind of person. What? We're blind. We're blind. We're blind to so many things. The Greek philosopher Socrates said once, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Great beginning point. What do we know? This church, I don't know if you know it, I've been reading a little bit about the history of this church. It really was founded by women who had the courage to say women have a right to vote. Women have a right to have a voice. Women have the need to be real and to be seen as human beings on par and equal with other people. And they got involved in the right to vote, or the right of women to have jobs and to have equal pay. And they helped found this church. Pioneers like Susan B. Anthony and Emmeline Parkhurst challenged the ingrained cultural norms that women had only a role to play, and it had to be defined by a top-down pyramid with the man at the top and the woman at the bottom. She is to be a servant. Yeah, not good. But it was not just there. It was, as you go back in science, one of the things that I think we're all familiar with is the idea of heliocentrism. And when I was a kid, if I got up in the morning and some parent said to me, you see, look, the sun is rising. And look, the sun is going down. Look, the moon is here. Look, the moon is now over there. And somebody says, that's because we're in the center and everything's going around us. Well, that worked for people in their understanding of how we are situated, and the church used it for years until somebody started saying, well, it doesn't really work that way. Copernicus and Galileo said, no, the sun is actually in the middle, and we're one planet among others going around the sun. Galileo, as you may perhaps know, was put under house arrest by the church. This was a very bad thing to the church at the time because it took away some of their power. Galileo made his statement in 1633. It wasn't until 1992 that Pope John Paul II commissioned people for a 13-year study where they finally realized and made a statement that the church theologians had made an error, stating they did not recognize the formal distinction between the Bible and its interpretation. That was the best they could do after 350 years. What is this? To be built on a rock. Built on a rock, the church doth stand even when steeples are falling. What is the rock? The rock is the knowledge that the authority lies in the church, the interpretation of the scriptures. I remember my father, who was a Lutheran pastor and very conservative in his beliefs. He thought that the Bible was infallible, inspired, and inerrant. And he gave me the idea of a bunch of dominoes lined up. He says, if you can find one fault in the Bible, then it isn't Holy Spirit inspired, because God's perfect. God doesn't tell lies. One goes, the whole thing goes. And so when I would say to my dad, well, Dad, the rocks look really old, my dad would say, God can make them look old, can't he? End of conversation. And I lived with this, and so it didn't matter to learn things about the age of the earth. The Bible, somebody had the courage, and it was even during my father's age, to question it. He came up with a theory called the JEDP theory, and this has to do with just the first 5 books of the Bible. JEDP stands for Yahwist, Elohist, Deuteronomist, and Priestly. And what that simply says is that when they looked at the language of the scriptures in the first 5 books of the Bible, people said there are some significant things that we can learn from this. Now, this isn't written by the Holy Spirit. This is written by people with a bias. The J uses the word Yahweh for God in their writings. The E uses Elohim for God in the Bible. They're really different ways of talking about God in these first 5 books. Then the others said it was the D had to do with the Deuteronomist. It was the author of Deuteronomy, not the Holy Spirit, but the people who put together the book. And the Priestly had to do with the book of Leviticus. So there were people who were studying the Bible, and they were saying, now, wait a minute, before you just say that everything is literally and perfectly true, let's start looking at it the way it really is. I personally found that to be a very helpful thing, but it wasn't right away. When I went to seminary, I went like this to all that kind of stuff because I was raised with a very different understanding of the Bible. 2 Timothy 3:16 says, all scripture is divinely inspired, God-breathed. My father made sure that I went to the Lutheran Bible Institute, and then I went to a seminary called Faith Evangelical Lutheran Seminary that was held in a church in Tacoma, Washington, and it was put out by a group of people who produced a magazine called Lutherans Alert. And they would check all the things that were being said in the Lutheran faith, and they would do hats on and hats off. And if they found something that was a little wrong, they'd say hats on. And if they liked it, they'd go hats off. And I was raised there as to become a pastor in this seminary. So now you're looking at somebody who's changed a lot. We'll get to that a little later. But I want to talk about a few other things other than religion, because that really gets me going. It seems to me in our world that anyone who comes up with something that isn't comfortable, that challenges people's notions, may not be looked at in a favorable way. Even the creation of airplanes back in 1904, and the Wright brothers, as you know, flew their plane in December 17th, 1903. The engineers following this said, in a magazine called the Engineering Magazine in 1904 said, "We do not believe it will ever be a commercial vehicle at all. We do not believe it will find a very large place in the world of sport. We do not believe its military importance is as great as is commonly supposed, or will extend beyond the range of scouting and courier service." That's what was thought by the engineers back then. Let's jump ahead a little bit. Let's jump ahead to a lady's name, Catalin Carrico, Kariko. I don't know if anybody knows anything about Catalin Carrico, but I found this interesting because she was studying RNA, ribonucleic acid, and she discovered that RNA was a pathway to deal with viruses. It could be used to take apart viruses that were causing problems. And guess what virus came on deck as she and the people who were working in her realm of thinking back in the 90s? COVID came in the 2000s. And there were those people working with her to explore the usefulness of a vaccine that allowed the modification of RNA. And it was that actually stemmed the spread of COVID. How many of you have had your COVID shots? How many have had them again? How many have had them again? How many have had them again? You and I are the benefit of this woman's work and the people who are working with her. Did they run into opposition? You don't mess with RNA. You don't mess with DNA. This is God. If God wanted, God would, no. We're here to make the world a better place to live. We have to confront those values, those beliefs, that stuff with, keep your mind open here. Listen to what we're sharing. She fought that. She was rejected. She was denied grants. You ought to hear about this woman's progression through this whole business. She did not meet the welcoming praise of other scientists even. They said, "You don't know what you're talking about. That's bizarre." She hung with it. And because of that, we now have very effective vaccines. There are many illustrations in this. I think, wow, where do you go? You want to talk about racial segregation and the idea that this should be normal, that there has been a racial hierarchy determined by cultural beliefs that black people should never be leaders, and Native American people are somehow deficient compared to other people. Challenging racial segregation, challenging racial hierarchy is something that our country continues to fight. Even mental health awareness, the idea that somehow mental health shows a personal weakness or that it has a spiritual problem. Who sinned, this person or their parents? This is God's paying back the family for sins that have been in the family. Therefore, this person is deficient. This person has problems. These bad things happen. All of these beliefs, friends, we've had to confront, and we continue to confront them. Because if we don't take a stand and say, not this, but this, we miss out on actually blessing our world collectively. And that's what I want to end with, is ways that we can, as a community, keep thinking in ways that question wisdom in a positive way. And the three ideas I want to just touch on, Gracie, because I know I ramble on and I take too much time. First of all is the word collective. We need each other. One person is not going to do it. We have to listen. And I love our roundtables where we can hear. And I'd like to know some of what you have learned and why some of the ideas you were raised with were modified by people you got to know. Could be a teacher, could be a neighbor, could be somebody at a church, I don't know. But we need each other. It has to be a community approach. And the next word I want to throw in for us to move forward with questioning wisdom is the word balance, the word gray. Life doesn't give us black or white answers. Sometimes you have to decide in the gray. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm doing the best I can. I'm going to try this for a while. If it doesn't work, I'm going to be open to trying something else. I have to listen. I have to learn more. I got to study more about this. I can't really even tell you what I think now because I don't even know what I thought this. Now I think, I don't know what to think. Living in the gray is a good thing. Black or white isn't a healthy way to live when you're challenging wisdom. And finally, the idea of patience and suffering. The Persian poet Rumi says, the wound is the place where the light enters you. Suffering opens us up to this. It opens our hearts to compassion. It opens our heart to love. Everybody carries a burden. It could be a mental disease. It could be a physical ailment. It could be somebody they're living with. It could be something that's going to be painful for them. We need to hear that pain. In that pain is compassion. In that pain is love. And as a community, we need to be constantly be aware that suffering is an invitation to care, to do something. Just like you were saying, Sue Ann. When you see suffering and you see unfairness, do you just let it go? Or do you say, no, I want to do something here to try to make things a little better? So thank you for your attention to this. Obviously, I can't cover all I would like to. Gary, this is for you in the back because Gary's, I just love the fact that you are with me in the area of letting knowledge help expand our horizons. This book that I have here is called Faith After Doubt by Brian McLaren. It's a kind of book I think that you would love, Gary. And anyway, he was raised on very narrow gauge rails too, and he realized that he needed to start doubting much of what he had been told so that he could live more effectively and honestly in the real world. And I want to read just a little bit about what he said before he kicked me out of here. Catholic feminist theologian Catherine Laguna echoed the insight. The very nature of God is to seek out the deepest possible communion and friendship with every last creature on this earth. The idea is that we are interconnected, like our principle says, with all of life. When animals suffer, everything we're connected to, it lives in us and on us and through us. That's the deepest possible communion, not with a Savior who keeps us from going to hell, but in communion with one another and all of life. That's the deep part of communion. We need to participate. And he continues, through these influences and more, a new center was emerging for me, a center that didn't require agreement to long lists of beliefs, but rather that required my heart to grow deeper in faith, expressing itself in love. So there are a lot of people who have helped form this congregation. The Spirit is constantly trying to help us to grow in this business of listening, learning, and love. So I hope that we will continue to be who we are and be thankful for our church and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. That resonates here in the heart and some new things to think about. We receive that with open hand for pondering, and I'm sorry, but hats off. Okay, and I can't resist this either. We talked about wisdom and humility. I just want to share that my 11-year-old sweet little granddaughter once told me with 100% sincerity that I'm not worried that you're going to die very soon, Grandma, because I read that old people pass on their wisdom before they die, and you have not done that. Okay. Yeah. But she meant it very sweetly and sincerely. So anyway, we'll receive our offering, have another piece, another Beethoven piece that's probably familiar to us. Part of the offering is shared with a community agency. I think it's listed at the bottom of the. Oh, Feeding South Dakota. So that's somebody we all know and care about. So thank you. We can share words to receive our offering. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. Our closing song is number 90. And our final reading is number 566. God is one. In this world, there have always been many opinions about faith and salvation. There must be knowledge in faith also. Religious reform can never be all at once, but gradually, step by step. The most important spiritual function is conscience, the source of all spiritual joy and happiness. Conscience will not be quieted by anything less than truth and justice. We must accept God's truth in this lifetime. Salvation must be accomplished here on earth.
God is indivisible. God is one.
The chalice is extinguished, but the light goes on with us out into the world.